Hello everybody and welcome back to Odin's Movie Blog. I am the critic who is this, and I hope you're doing well. And today I'll be reviewing two movies that I just got done seeing. And don't worry, allegedly a fire stick was used, allegedly of course, but Toy Story 4 is a completely unnecessary film. And that's really all I'll just say about it. I mean, there are definitely a couple moments in there that overall I'm okay with. Like, for example, I think Forky is a pretty funny character. The voice acting for that was done very well. And then having, of course, John Wick himself come into the movie was pretty damn awesome as well. And I think that probably was my favorite voice acting casting at all. That was Keanu Reeves playing Duke Kaboom. Duke Kaboom, I think, was the coolest new character that was added in. But even with that, even with having someone like a Keanu Reeves in the film doing voice acting and being a really hilarious character at that, it still is not enough to get away from the fact that this film is totally unnecessary. I mean, when you look to the Toy Story trilogy, when you look to the ending of Toy Story 3, it is a perfect ending to the franchise. This seems like, to me, a total cash grab opportunity. Now, obviously, many of us can say, well, most sequels tend to be that. You know, most movie studios these days don't care about making good movies, don't care about making original stories. They care more about trying to get as much money as they possibly can. And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that that same thing is done here. For the first thing, first things first, first 5 minutes of the movie, they basically retcon Bo Peep's character. So obviously they explain where she went and why she disappeared, but they retcon her character even before that moment to try and explain how she was able to become this amazing toy outside of, Andy's house. And the way that they do that, I think, is just very heavy-handed, and it's obvious that they're trying to do something in a very particular way. On top of that, too, the ending of this film is something that I think a lot of people are probably going to be pretty mixed on. I myself did not like it because I just did not find it necessary, especially when you already had, again, a perfect ending to the saga in Toy Story 3. The ending to this film leaves open the possibility that they could do spin-offs, that they could do even more Toy Story films in the future, but also it kind of expands the universe a lot more than what it was beforehand, and I think that they did that on purpose because they wanted to say, oh, let's see how much money this movie makes, and it is making a lot of money. Though obviously it went under expectations, it's still making in a crap ton of money. There's a decent chance that it could end up pulling away getting close to, at the very least, $1 billion total, which for Disney would actually be a pretty good thing. And it's made $519 million, and so having made $500 million in just the couple weeks that it's been open is not a bad thing. And I think that overall they're pretty happy with it. Though I think that because of the fact the foreign number is not nearly that high, I think that's what's going to hold it back from reaching the $1 billion mark. Again, I don't think it's going to reach it completely, but I think that it's going to be very similar to what Aladdin's doing. Aladdin, of course, is doing very well, but the difference is that Aladdin is doing much better overseas, and also the fact that Aladdin is available in a lot higher premium formatted theaters, and so many people are going to see that. I still don't know why. I still don't know why people are going to support that damn movie, but they are, and sure enough, they're going out and supporting it, and they're paying high ticket prices for it, and they're bringing more of their kids and families along to that film. And again, that is just known by the very fact that you have just a, again, high grossing film for that movie nonetheless. Again, as I said, this is at $880 million, meaning that this film is likely going to break $900 million by the end of its run, which is just insane to me because I don't understand why Aladdin is doing nearly as well as it is. Another film that I literally just finished watching is Spider-Man Far From Home, and this is a movie that I really wish I could like this film. I really wish I could come out and say, hey, this was a great film. And can I say that I enjoyed this film? Yes. Overall, I would say I enjoyed it. The comedy is definitely there. If you like Spider-Man Homecoming, you will like this film. And in that way, I do like it. The reason why I don't, the reason why I have a problem with this film is because of the fact that I am just so over the MCU at this point. Endgame was a total train wreck, as I've talked about many times on this channel. Again, narratively, it was an complete and utter train wreck. This is basically trying to pick up the pieces of that film, and I think that this film easily is a much better story than what Endgame had, because Endgame, again, as I said before, has a broken narrative. It just does not make sense. It does not work within the framework of the story. This, at the very least, does. And I will say that I think that the mid-credits and post-credit scenes alone make it worth it. The mid-credit scene alone makes the movie, I think, worth it because it answers a very, very important question that a lot of people worried about. And obviously I don't want to go into spoilers just quite yet, but it is still something that a lot of people were concerned about as far as casting is concerned, and all I can say is that don't worry, and the way that they present it, I think, is pretty damn awesome. Now, the post-credit scene I was not actually able to see because allegedly, of course, in my Fire Stick alleged copy, I was not able to see it, but of course it's all over online, you're able to read it. And basically, it kind of almost in a way, I guess, kind of retcons something, but doesn't really retcon it completely. And it just brings up a lot more questions than anything else. And I feel like, in the end, the mid-credit scene does a lot more for this movie. So I would say that the end-credit scene is kind of worth skipping out, pretty much, because based on what I read about it and based on the explanation of the scene, it just doesn't seem that interesting. It just doesn't really seem like it really adds any stakes to it, at least the way that they word it, because they make it sound like there's permission and stuff, whatever. But anyway, I think that overall, this is a film that I really wish I could like. But because the MCU is so broken, because they have very much indicated that they want to move in the direction of a Captain Marvel in the future for the, being the main focus, because they've already said, oh yeah, she's gonna get 5 more MCU films, which, I mean, yeah, how well is that Blu-ray selling? Yeah, not very well. And everyone's like trying to point at me saying, oh, but it was number 1. It was number 1 trending on this, on Amazon's website for this period of time, etc. It's like, okay, well, yeah, it's going to be number 1 because people are buying it. When I say no one's buying it, it's obviously me using hyperbolic language to try to explain that not a lot of people are going out of their way to go ahead and try and buy this film. So yeah, when it's initially released, it's going to have the highest sales because people aren't just going out in droves to go buy movies, just on any given day of the week. If they're going to release a film on any given day, that's when you're going to have that increase in numbers of people actually going to buy it. But the reason why I point out the steelbooks especially is because collectors, to me, tell the real story. If collectors, especially Marvel aficionados, and I had several who've reached out to me saying, hey, I have every single Marvel film and I am not buying that film. Like, that is the one film that I'm going to skip out on. That to me tells you a lot. Not only because it tells you a lot as far as what people think about the film overall, but the fact that they don't even feel like it's needed in their collection. And as someone who is a collector, as someone who understands the understanding of the concept of having a completionist mindset, meaning that you want to have every single film, even if you don't necessarily like certain films. You have all 3 Lord of the Rings films, you have all 3 Hobbit films, you have all 3, like, even if you don't like one of them in particular, because so many people can have, as collectors, this completionist mindset. The fact that you have many of these people saying, no, screw that, I'm not wasting my money on that garbage film, kind of tells me all that I really need to know about how it's going to do. And that's what I said before, I cannot wait to get actual numbers, raw data, the actual units sold, the actual price, and rather the actual the money that was actually made from it, because I think it's going to tell a very different story. But anyway, Spider-Man Far From Home as a movie, individually as a movie, taking into account anything else, I would give this film a solid B. I think it's very much an enjoyable film. However, because I'm still very much of the mindset, especially with the recent casting news with Little Mermaid, the fact that they keep on trying to push out these remakes and reboots, the fact that they have, 2 original ideas coming out of Pixar, no less, over the next 5 years or so, based on everything that's coming out of their slate, it really does make it clear to me that I just want to full out boycott Disney. I don't want to go and support them anymore. And so because of that reason, yeah, I gave the movie individually a B for Spider-Man. But overall, I would say that as far as the MCU goes and as far as everything that Disney's doing, I would say don't go out of your way to see this movie. I think that you can totally skip this film and be fine. And if you want to wait till it's available in a cleaner copy on your Fire Stick TV, hey, go right ahead. And in fact, if you want to do it safely, go ahead and click on ExpressVPN. I have a link to ExpressVPN in this video. And if you want to go ahead and get yourself caught up with that, and you want to get yourself signed up for that, I would recommend that you go through that link because it helps out the channel, but also too because I personally use it and I've had nothing but really good success with it. So if it's something that you want to look into, they do have a 30-day, I think it's 30 or 60-day, I think it's 30-day, 30-day money-back guarantee. And I think that overall it's a pretty good deal, especially if you're going to use a Fire Stick. But I would say that again, solid B for this film. Toy Story 4, I'm going to give a D to. I never thought I would ever give a D to a Toy Story film, but this film is just so, to me, completely worthless as far as it being a part of the saga. To me, this screams complete. They literally had a vision of, we need to retcon this character because we want to have a strong female-centric movie. Again, that's pretty much what it is, because guess what? The main character is no longer Andy, it's Bonnie, and I think Bonnie's adorable. That's why I think Bonnie was great in Toy Story 3 as a character to be introduced. But they're like, okay, let's have this be the sole focus. Now Woody is no longer going to be the sole, a source of attention anymore. And I think that they were very heavy-handed with the messaging throughout the entire film, especially with the ending. And I have to give it a D. I have to give it a solid D. I don't think that you need to waste your money on this film, and I think you should send, obviously they're making money off of this at this point, but send that message saying, no, you know what, we're going to try to make this one of the lowest grossing Toy Story films of all time, because at the end of the day, we're not going to support this nonsense. Stop remaking films, stop rebooting films, stop making sequels to films that don't need sequels, especially when you already have a perfect trilogy in the Toy Story 3. Again, I already have all 3 Toy Story films in a perfect trilogy. The complete collection is actually on the front of the cover, and I will continue in my headcanon to believe that it is just those 3 movies, because 3 was a perfect ending. But anyway, guys, have you seen these movies? Did you see Toy Story 4? Did you not like it as much as I did? Because again, the whole time I was just like, God, why? Why are they doing this? Oh, that's right, because they got to score woke points. Let me know your thoughts about that. Again, were there a couple moments that were in there that were kind of entertaining? Sure, but the jokes kind of fall flat too. And everyone that's trying to say, oh, it's a kid's movie, keep in mind that almost every Toy Story film up to this point has had, again, family humor. See, family movies are for every person in the family, of which the Toy Story films up to 3, I would say, are family movies. Kids movies are the ones that, go to that lowest common denominator, and only kids would actually chuckle at anything. Only kids would actually be able to enjoy it. These are family films, or at least have been up to this point, and I feel like this film kind of goes firmly into that kids kids film category, and really I think just tarnishes the entire saga of everything else. So have you seen this? Let me know your thoughts about it. But also Spider-Man Far From Home, have you seen this film too? Again, I know there's a lot of Marvel fans out there that want to continue to support Marvel and want to say, oh man, but it's still a good movie. Again, I give it a B. Again, I give it a solid B. It's definitely a good time. It is definitely a good time. However, I have to stick to my guns here, and I have to say, we need to stop supporting Disney. We need to stop supporting everything that they do, and it's going to really suck because now that they have the distribution rights to Alita, if they end up doing an Alita sequel, I'm going to be kind of stuck in a between a rock and a hard place because I want to support the film, but also I don't want Disney to get any more of my money. So anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts about all this in the comments below. If you like this video, smash the like button, give it a thumbs up, give it a subscribe, it helps me out a lot. You are amazing. You will have a wonderful day, and as always, God bless.